We are just 2 days away from one of the biggest cards in UFC history. The heavyweight championship is on the line at T-Mobile Arena Saturday night for UFC 285.
For the fans, it's all excitement in the build-up to a big bout. But for the athletes, Fight Week has its highs and lows. In a Fox 5 special report, Sapienza shows us the lengths fighters will go to make weight and how the UFC is helping to keep them safe.
Before the fighters can step in the cage, they've got to step on the scale. We have seen countless cards, main events, championship fights fall apart just hours before the event was set to begin because they couldn't pass that first test. Just last year here in Vegas, UFC 279, one fighter missed weight. The promotion had to reshuffle the entire deck just to save the show, which is why over the last few months I spoke with UFC athletes, both past and present, to find out why they consider weight cutting the fight before the fight.
126 1/4.
Put a sponge underneath the water. That's your body on an everyday basis. For weight cut, wring it out, put it outside in the sun to dry. Now weigh it. It doesn't weigh anything, and that's exactly what weight cutting is.
It's not the most perfect part of the game, but it's always going to be there.
The purpose of the weight cut is for athletes to compete at lower weight classes. After their official weigh-in, they then rehydrate, filling the body back up to get stronger ahead of fight night. This part of the fight game is one of the main reasons the UFC Performance Institute was built, so athletes wouldn't have to fight that battle alone.
The PI is there for all these fighters that are under contract with us to use, and what they do is they do a full health evaluation on you first, then they bring you in and they show you how to train properly. They show you how to cut weight properly too.
Staff at the PI did a study on more than 600 UFC athletes between 2020 and 2022, determining the average weight cuts for fighters in each weight class during fight week. Now, there are 9 weight classes in the promotion, and the study determined 7 of them, on average, have fighters cutting more than the recommended 6% body mass threshold. For example, UFC featherweights, who have to weigh in at 145 pounds, have the most aggressive weight cuts at 8.2%. Meaning, on average, they're cutting 12 pounds within a 72-hour period. On the other end of the spectrum are the heavyweights, who can't be over 265 on the scale. On average, they only need to cut about 2.8%, though that still amounts to a little more than 7 pounds of body mass.
Work, grind, work, grind, be the best of all time. I said work, grind, work, grind, work, grind, be the best of all time. I said work, grind, work, grind, work, grind.
Now, the numbers only tell part of the story. Since every fighter is a different shape and size, that means not all weight cuts are created equal. Just ask Vegas' own Tatiana Suarez, who explains why a female fighter's weight cut can be more complicated than their male counterparts.
I think it might be a little bit more difficult for females just because we don't have as much muscle, so we don't carry as much water. We happen to be on our menstrual cycle during that time. It might be holding a little bit more than usual.
Over the years, we've seen all kinds of walk-ups to the scale. Some are smooth. Some fighters need a little more time to remove clothes and remove all doubt. Others simply don't go as planned.
I was 205 pounds, like fighting at 170 pounds. One fight, I got rhabdo, and it means essentially your body starts to metabolize muscle that it shouldn't, which makes your kidneys overload, and that can kill you.
Cutting weight has its consequences, but so does missing weight on the scales. Athletes have been fined, fights have been canceled, and for some, the biggest casualty is their reputation.
For some athletes, it is the fight before the fight. My suggestion was don't make it the fight before the fight. One fight's enough. One fight's just great. Don't make it 2 fights. You know, set yourself up for success.
As we heard from Dana White, weight cutting will always be part of the fabric of the UFC. And in the nearly 6 years since the UFC Performance Institute was built here in Vegas, those issues have decreased, which is why the promotion built one in Shanghai, China, planning another in the Middle East and Africa, and are set to open another UFC Performance Institute in Mexico at the end of this year, all for the betterment, the health, and the safety of their athletes. I'm Sapienza, Fox 5 News Local, Las Vegas.